Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to cover another super investor by the name of Rob Vinall. He's a Swiss investor who is a long-term investor, a value investor, and he's been really successful. I wanted to cover what his investing strategy is all about, what his portfolio looks like. I'll get specific on his portfolio and review all his positions, his current performance year to date for 2025, and just a couple notes on his strategy that I picked up on. Overall, I've really have learned a lot by covering all these super investors. There is some commonality in what makes them successful. I'll point to a few things that I observed in covering Rob Vinall. First, a little more about him. As mentioned, he is out of Switzerland. He invests in companies long term and really concentrates his investment. His portfolio has about 10 stocks, where other investors tend to have a lot more. He tends to go after companies that a lot of other investors don't like, but he really sees a lot of potential in those companies. And he buys them when everybody else thinks they're not a good investment. That contrarian viewpoint has really played out well for him on a few occasions. He didn't do well in 2022, along with a lot of other investors. I didn't do well in 2022. And he really owned up to it. I really gained a lot of respect in seeing videos of him really just commenting on 2022. He tried to learn as much as he could from those losses. But since 2022, he's really been on a winning streak. And this year, he's ranked above most investors that I've reviewed. Out of 14, I believe, is in fourth place. The other thing that I found interesting is although he only buys into maybe 10 companies or so at a time, he's constantly watching 70 to 100 companies. And he'll watch companies for multiple years, waiting for the right time to buy into them. That's smart. You can always, it doesn't take much capital just to watch a stock. It just takes your time and your analysis. So let's go into his portfolio and review his performance and see how he's doing and see if we can pick up any good ideas from this super investor. Here is his portfolio. He has 11 positions, one more than 10. And overall, his biggest position is Carvana. And 25% of his portfolio is in Carvana. Year to date, Carvana is up 5%, so it's not a bad idea. He's up on that stock. And this year, if you're in the green, you're doing really well. Overall, his portfolio is down 6%, but the S&P is down 8%. So he's outperforming the S&P. Carvana is a gutsy move. Carvana has been a troubled business from time to time. I think it's a really innovative business, but I've never invested in Carvana. I just think there's just too much risk there. I don't like retail, and used car retailing must be tough. His second biggest position is Meta. And I agree with him because Meta is my biggest position. So he made a lot of money on Meta because he bet big on them in 2022. And since then, Meta's just been flourishing. Although Meta's trading in, $576 per share, or actually $521 per share. In 2022, you could have bought Meta for $85, $90 per share. So anybody who bought then is doing really well. But this year, Meta is down about 11%. And that's probably holding back his portfolio a little bit. Probably the story around that Meta may be broken up by the FTC is holding that stock back. But I am all in on Meta. It's one of my big holdings, and I really agree with his position there. The next one's a company I've never heard of, Credit Acceptance Corporation. This is an innovative company that provides loans for people that want to buy a car that maybe don't qualify under traditional criteria. And they take a little more risk, but I believe make more money and are able to hedge the risk in a way that they feel they should hedge that risk. He's got a substantial investment in that company. And so far, so good this year. It's up 4%. So very nice. His biggest loser is Wix. Wix is a website development company. They'll host your website. And it looks like Wix is not doing very well. He also invests in China. He's got Pinduoduo. Yum China, and H World Group, which is a hotel chain in China. The HTHT investment is up in the green, but YumC and Pinduoduo are down year to date. Pinduoduo, not too bad. Interactive Brokers, that's got to be doing well. I know that they uh, have an investment in Webull, so that one's not doing too bad. He also has an investment in Microsoft, Paycom, which is a payroll processing company, and then Deere. And Deere's doing quite well. Deere's doing the best out of his portfolio, but it is the smallest position. Overall, his portfolio is doing well. It's beating the S&P. 10 positions, and he's really concentrated. If you look at the top couple of stocks, that makes up more than 50% of the portfolio. So interesting that he takes this approach. He is a long-term investor. He's looking for something that is maybe broken, but he believes it's going to be fixed and then be worth far more. And I think Carvana is a really good example of what he's doing. Credit Acceptance Corporation, great example there. So I really tip my hat to this investor. I think he has a lot to teach people. I like his humility when he talks about his portfolio, how he goes about things. There's plenty of videos on him where he talks about how he invests. So I really appreciate that he takes that approach. It makes the rest of us investors grateful that somebody can be so generous with their knowledge. So far, I've covered 14 super investors. And where does Vinall rank just from a performance perspective? That's not me making any decision. It's just where the numbers lie. Everything is updated based on today's close. And Vinall is in fourth place out of 14. He's behind Michael Burry, Guy Spire, David Tepper. So that's pretty good. He's ahead of Carl Icahn, Buffett, Marx, Druckenmiller, a lot of really famous names. So he's doing okay this year. It's not an easy year to get through without losing a little bit of money. All these super investors are in the red. Michael Burry had a short, recent period in the green, but now he's back into the red, just slightly in the negative. Now, that's from the number standpoint where he ranks. I really like how he is open about his portfolio. I got to think that his investors really have a great relationship with him because he communicates very clearly. And I imagine investors are very comfortable having him at the helm of their portfolio. Now, I also have a different ranking, which is my favorite rank, which is all subjective, right? And I put Vinall right there at number 6, behind Pat Dorsey, Einhorn, who I got to know recently, and I really like Einhorn. Michael Burry, because of his big bets. Of course, Warren Buffett. Now, the reason I don't have Warren Buffett as number 1 is he's not doing a lot of things these days that align with what I'm doing. And same thing with Howard Marks. These guys are legends. Awesome. They've given so much to the investing community. But I just learned a lot more from the top 3. But Vinall most definitely is there. He's a really uh, solid investor, long-term approach. One area that I don't agree with him on is he really believes in the management team. And I can understand why. I think a good management team is also always a good thing. But I think really he really invests with the management team being a key criteria for him. And I happen to think more like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett believes that a good business is a good business. You can have whichever management team run that company. The intrinsic value of the business is what should be looked at. So I agree more with Warren Buffett on that. And I agree with Pat Dorsey on that. Pat Dorsey would also say that the management team is not that important. For a crude example, if you had, let's say, a retail business and you put, let's say, the best technology leader out there, the leader of Apple, let's say the CEO, he went to go run a retail business. He's not going to make that retail business as valuable as Apple. No, Apple inherently is just a more valuable business. So that's the point that I would make with regards to the management team. But I'm not going to argue that a good management team should always be in place. But I learned a lot from studying Robert Vinall, and I encourage you to do the same. And I would say that I would be very comfortable investing in his fund because he's very transparent, very easy to understand, doesn't shy away from questions, has a very good relationship with his investors. And I thank him for putting so much of his content online. I learned a lot and really appreciate what he's doing. So that's my review of super investor Robert Vinall. I hope you found it interesting. And please leave a comment on this super investor. And I appreciate you watching.